Good evening, YouTube. It's Genius Kev from Legit Fantasy Sports. We're doing Legit Fantasy Basketball on Monday, March 29th. We got to get through the Elite Eight games. I guess one's already in progress, but we'll talk about the four of those quickly. Then we'll move to the NBA and hit what the rosters look like post-trade deadline and post-buyouts. Or some interesting moves over the weekend. So with that, I will introduce the two people that are always with us for fantasy basketball. First, we have Brother Ray. Welcome, Brother Ray.
Going on,
how you doing?
How we doing tonight?
Doing very well. Just let me get Coach TJ on because he and I just went through an ordeal. So let's bring Coach TJ on for our expertise on the basketball side of things. How's it going, TJ?
Happy Thursday.
Yep. So Thursday. I think it's Monday.
Oh my God, it's Monday.
Yeah.
my cue card over here. I'm gonna fire the intern. The intern's telling me it's Thursday fantasy basketball. But we're up to 2 nights a week now.
Yeah.
Can't get good help nowadays, Coach.
You know.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a pass since you and I just sat through an hour of fantasy baseball draft, which I don't know if I'll ever do that again. 29 rounds is about 15 rounds too many for any draft that I've ever done. Obviously, I do mostly football, but we left King Mike L is there. He's still going through the draft. He's got 14 rounds to go by himself. I shudder to think what that team's going to look like, when it's all over.
King Mike right now is like a sixth grader in a calculus class right now.
Yeah.
With that roster construction, we tried to leave him as many helpful tips as we could, but thank goodness he's got a list in front of him because that's what he's going to go off.
Yeah, exactly.
Brother Ray, he's talking about he didn't want to pick guys because he didn't like the sound of the guy's name. Like, we're going to have guys with like cool nicknames on the team. I don't know anything about what kind of players they're going to be, but he's going to pick guys based on names and knowing a kid in high school with that name. It's going to be wild.
My advice to him is to start drinking heavily.
Yeah. And the funniest thing was, like, we were in round 15. We had a massive debate down to the wire, barely got the pick in. It's like only 14 rounds left.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of rounds left, there's only 2 rounds left in the championship game for the NCAA men's basketball tournament. The Elite Eight started tonight. So we got one game in progress. We got another one tonight. They'll probably tip off after this show. And then we got 2 tomorrow night. So, let's start there, gentlemen. So let's go with tonight. It was 7:15 start was Oregon State and Houston. Oregon State, obviously the big underdog in this game. I personally picked Houston. Thought Houston would go pretty far. They, obviously they're Elite Eight. I think they make it through. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I had Houston in my Final Four coming in, so I'm not surprised that they're going to be there. It's one of these things where, as you're watching the bracket develop, it started looking better and better for Houston. So. To get Oregon State to go to the Final Four, I think Houston's going to come out tonight and pretty much put it on them. I feel like I saw they were up by double digits early, and it's not a surprise. I got to say, awesome job by the Pacific, the Pac-12 or Pac-10, whatever the hell it is. Awesome job getting teams in, but now Oregon State's going to meet a team that's legit, and Houston, to the surprise of very few people, are going to go to the Final Four.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Oregon State's a 12 seed, and I bet against them against Oklahoma State. I thought they kind of shocked me a little bit on that one, but good for them for making it this far. But you're right, they're probably going to get a spanking tonight.
Well, unfortunately, they killed my bracket because I'm in an 81-person league. I'm in second place. All I needed was Loyola to beat Oregon State. That's it. I didn't need anything else. And of course, Oregon State's going to come in. And they really won the game. They earned it. And now they're gonna bow out gracefully. And Coach TJ is gonna win $25 participation trophy instead of the $900 cash.
Yeah. So what's your Final Four? We're right now with your bracket. Houston, obviously. What are the other ones?
Yeah. Well, really, just Houston and Gonzaga are left.
Yeah.
So I lost the other 2 teams early. I had Ohio State. I thought Ohio State was. They played Illinois tough, and I guess everybody overrated that entire conference. And then I forget who the fourth was. It was probably Texas. Texas. So, I did well in the early rounds. A lot of these upsets worked out in my favor, or upsets by the numbers anyway, worked out in my favor. But, so to get Houston in the Final Four, I think gets me in the money. But Oregon State being where they are tonight keeps me from the vacation money.
When we first talked about the tournament, we were going through like some of the like analytics, and I think it was like like 5 or 6 of the Big Ten teams were in the top 15, and they all just all bowed out like one after the other. It was kind of crazy what happened to that. What happened to that conference? Very, we'll see what happens next season with a full season and all that. But I was a little bit surprised how the dominoes all basically just fell, kind of almost embarrassingly. So yeah. Ray, what do you think? Houston game. You with us on that one?
Yeah, I mean, my Final Four is still intact.
Wow.
I mean, Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, Houston. So, I mean, my Final Four is intact. The only thing is I had Oregon State getting beat in the first round. I had Tennessee beating.
Yeah. And we lost Brother Ray with his whole Final Four. That's impressive to have your whole
That
Final
is very
Four.
impressive.
I do want to give a shout out to my 6-year-old son, Tommy, who has 3 of the 4. So he's hanging in there right now. He's in the 30th out of the 80. My wife's in second to last. I hope she comes in last. I think that would be a feat.
Yeah.
I told her I'd cover her bracket fee. Brother Ray goes up.
So so you're in second now, but you think you'll just with only having one. Sorry, only having 2 left. You'll fade out.
Yeah. So if Houston wins tonight, they'll go to the Final Four. I have a big enough cushion where I'm going to be comfortably in the top 3. Unless, of course, if Gonzaga doesn't win it and Michigan wins it, then there's a whole different story. But it was a good showing for my bracket. My wife, I told her I'll cover her fee if she comes in 81st. That's hard. You ever see on Keno, if you pick the 10 numbers, right, and you get none for 10, they feel so bad they give you the money back.
Yeah,
that's kind of where we are with that. But
that's awesome.
Houston's out there playing well right now too.
Yeah.
So later tonight we got Arkansas Baylor.
Yeah, that's the other one. That's going to be a good game. I'm glad we're going to be done before that tips. That tips at like 9:57 on CBS. So I'm definitely going to watch that one. I'm going with Baylor. I think like everyone kind of overhyped that sort of COVID collapse they had, and I watched the Baylor Villanova. And they were down decent. I actually got them in game at like +1.5, and they ended up covering the original spread. I think the original spread was either 7.5 or 9.5 or something. They covered that, and and my in game hit. So I'm all over Baylor too. What do you think of that one? I
agree. When Baylor flips the switch, they're as good as anybody. I'm surprised at how good they were in the second half against Villanova. They didn't belong on the same floor.
Yep.
And I can imagine, say you took Villanova and you're getting all these points and you got a big lead, you're feeling pretty good. Oh, I'm up 15 with the number, and then here they come, boy. And they just when they get hot, they get hot together. And Baylor's going to be tough. Baylor Houston would be a hell of a game, and I hope we get it.
Yeah, that's going to be a monster game. But like that, the Baylor Villanova game, they were down 30-23 at the half. And I'm like, how did Baylor only put up 23 points in the half? Like that, there's no way, that they're going to keep that up. And then they just started like dribble penetration, layups, offensive rebounds. It was just like you could see it all just sort of crumbling. Then they finally took the lead, and then they never looked back. It was
like Villanova.
Really cool.
If they had the lead, when Villanova had the lead in the game, it was almost like when you're watching an underdog play a favorite. And it's hard to think of Villanova as an underdog, but they pretty much had to play as well as they could play, and they're only up 7.
Yeah.
And Villanova was, you could tell they were just, the game was too long for them to beat Baylor. Really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, welcome back, Brother Ray.
Yeah. Whole final.
Yeah, so we want to get back to that. We're thinking you said that, and some basketball god struck you down, smited you for saying that. But let's hear it. Again, see? TJ, I think you lost it again.
Oh my goodness!
We can't bring this up. We can't bring it up.
I mean, these two guys need plug-in internet. We're gonna get the whole leopard crew needs like a new service provider.
Yeah. All right. So we agree on Baylor. Let's move it along to tomorrow night. Hold on. Where is it? That's it's gonna be March 30th. So we got the Zags and USC. That one I'm really looking forward to also, because I think that's going to be a good challenge for Gonzaga, and I think the number now is like it's either 9 or 7.5. I think it's 7.5, 7.5 or 9. And I think now's the time to get in on USC, just because like they're going to be a real good challenge for Gonzaga. They got Mobley, who's unbelievable. They got some big guys. I think now's the time. I don't know if they'll beat Gonzaga outright, but I think they'll cover. What are your thoughts?
I'll tell you, I said it a couple of weeks ago that USC looked like a different kind of team. Like they look different than the other teams I was watching play. They're long, like NBA long, and I think they're going to give Gonzaga a lot of trouble. I think most people, I thought Gonzaga was going to win the whole thing. I hope they do because talking about it the other night, I haven't seen an undefeated team in my lifetime. All these great college basketball teams, whether it's Duke with Leitner or Kentucky with 10 pros or the Fab Five, I never saw it. So I'd like to see it, even though it's been kind of a strange season. But when you watch USC play, they're a matchup problem. And they go to the rim. And these guys come up, they try to follow up dunk. Like they have a hell of a mindset. And if anybody can beat Gonzaga, USC's right up there.
Yeah, and I think as far as the number goes, like this is like no matter who Gonzaga plays, it's always going to be 8 to 12 point favorite minimum. And so now's the time because this is going to be like their first challenge. Like so this is probably the good betting opportunity for it. But Ray, we're not going to ask you about that bracket anymore because every time you talk about it, you get knocked down. But what do you think of tomorrow night, Gonzaga, USC?
I think it's going to be a great game. I think Gonzaga's finally going to get tested. I really think USC is going to test them, and I'd be watching that spread because I think that's going to be a close game. And that might be a game you want to tilt towards USC. I had a perfect Sunday yesterday as far as picks. I was able to get some decent money. It was a pretty good weekend overall. I almost had all Roberts too on the money line. Man, that would have been so good. But I mean, great game, great effort by that team. But I think Gonzaga is still the class of this thing. But I'll tell you what, I think Houston Baylor. That'll be a great matchup. Really looking forward to seeing that game. Two teams that are very similar in the kind of the way they play, can both shoot, play good defense. I think that'll be a really good game to watch.
We were saying this. Sorry.
I'm sorry. We're overlooking Arkansas. Arkansas is good.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
Like they're legit. They're a legit team. They didn't fake it. Whereas I feel like Oregon State they got to play a 9 seed to get here. I mean, I don't think anybody really thought coming in, but tonight I expect to see a good ball game. And Baylor, they better not come out slow tonight.
Yeah.
They're not going to have the same luxury they did against Villanova. Definitely. I feel like it's going to be a back and forth game and no one's going to get a 6-point lead. Like I feel like an 8-point lead tonight would be a shock. I'd really be surprised. But as much as I want to see Baylor in the Final Four, Arkansas is going to put on a show no matter how it goes down.
Yeah, I agree. Like we were saying before, I can't wait to watch. I'm definitely gonna watch that game once we're done. Fire it up, get popcorn ready, and kick back for that one because, like you said, it's gonna be a phenomenal game. And I want to see if Baylor starts slow because if they start slow, maybe I'll go like Arkansas first half or something in game just to try to capitalize. But I would see Baylor. I think we agree. The second half against Villanova was amazing to watch for Baylor. Maybe do the same thing. So maybe consider Arkansas first half, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was that one, and then the last, I think we had one more tomorrow night, UCLA, Michigan. I'm very curious on this one because one of the things I'm hearing now, people are like the cute pick for the champion is Michigan now. People are starting to move away from Gonzaga a little bit. You guys think there's any merit to that, or are people just trying to be like, hey, I said it, you heard it here first, or but I guess first talk about Michigan, UCLA, and then we can talk about their prospects after that.
Yeah, so two things. One, I thought UCLA was going to lose to Michigan State in the first round.
That's right.
I definitely had Michigan State in the Sweet 16. Once UCLA won and you get to watch them play, they're good. They're not an 11 seed. They can beat Michigan. Like I think those West Coast teams were so underrated coming in, and now that you've gotten a chance to watch them, I mean, let's be honest, I'm not watching a ton of Pac-12 basketball when they're at 11 o'clock at night Eastern. It's just not happening.
Yep.
UCLA and USC have been very, very impressive. That said, Michigan, what's so impressive to me about Michigan, I would think Juwan Howard would be running an NBA-type offense.
Yep.
And they run backdoor cuts. They run great motion. Like Juwan Howard played with LeBron. You'd think he would just have his best player with the ball and a bunch of guys running pick and roll, and he doesn't. They run a complicated offense, very difficult to defend. And I think they look so beautiful playing the game of basketball that's why a lot of the sharps are starting to say, wait a minute, maybe it's not Gonzaga's to lose. And maybe it's Michigan's. And I do think Michigan's going to beat UCLA. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I don't think it's going to go down to the wire either. It's going to be it'll be a competitive game because UCLA is good. But you get that Michigan-Gonzaga matchup is going to be like a fan's game right there. And you'll start to hear the analysts say that that's the real national championship.
Okay, yeah.
Those are the two best teams right now, and I don't think anybody puts Houston, Baylor, or Arkansas on that same level as those two teams. So I hate that kind of talk because it's not the national championship, but you do feel like those two teams are on a collision course, and the talking heads on TV are starting to almost hype that game up right now before we even get there.
Yeah, brother, what do you think of UCLA Michigan?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great matchup. I mean, I had UCLA. Again, another team, and we talked about this just at this time of the year, teams like UCLA, USC, I mean, they're playing, they're playing their game right now. They're firing on all cylinders. I do think the Gonzaga-Michigan game would be, probably the two best teams in the tournament. So I can definitely see the analysts looking that way. I mean, we'll see. I mean, Houston, again, they've been quietly just moving along. And we know what Baylor can do. So, but I do think that Gonzaga-Michigan game, I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on that game.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. So let's see. Let me just check. So that one. So we got USC Gonzaga is 7:00 tomorrow night, and then UCLA Michigan is the late game. Now, the one question I did want to ask about this part, and you guys may understand this a little bit better than me, but why do they have 11th seed, like an 11th seed playing game? Like, doesn't that disadvantage? Like, I would assume that the two teams playing for an 11 seed play-in are both about 11 seeds. So one of them is getting knocked out without a real chance in the tournament. Like, was that why do they do that? Is it just for the excitement of the first four, or like what's the what I mean? Like, what's the reasoning?
Well, me personally, I think all four of the playing games should be for the 11 seed. I don't like the idea where there's playing games to be the 16 seed. I feel like if you win a small conference, you're Bryant and you win your conference, you shouldn't have to go play some other shitty conference. You should be able to go play Gonzaga. I feel like those kids at the small conferences, if they're Division I, then let's treat them like Division I. There's no reason we should get a first-round game with North Texas against Bryant. Bryant should go play Kansas. Those games for the 11 seed, those playing games for the 11 seed, to me, should come from BCS conferences. So I don't have a problem with UCL playing Michigan, and I don't have a problem if Syracuse got the playing game against Louisville. However, those big schools that underperform, go play for the 11 seed. Matter of fact, it wouldn't even bother me if they got to go play the 8-9 game, and then you get your chance. Like, it should be a tough road if you don't really get in the tournament. But the reason why they do 1-1 is that, first of all, they're trying to weed out two blowouts. Because if you get rid of two of those small conference teams, then that's two less blowouts that people are going to go get a pizza for. And the second reason is they always try and give you a couple of matchups. Usually, if you notice, coincidentally, those games have some kind of storyline to them, whether it's, two blue bloods or this guy's father is coaching against, Rick Pitino's coaching against his father, some nonsense. But to me, really, those playing games, they should be for big conference schools. I mean, I can't see the excuse not to do it that way.
Yeah, it's TV. I mean, they want the extra TV games and they want to make the extra money there. But, Coach is right. I mean, if you're Bryant and you win the NEC, you should have the right to go get beat by Duke by 40 points. I mean, that's really, I mean, that you've deserved that, and you should be able to go in there and lose to probably the team that may win the tournament. So that's a lot better than, having a bum fight with some other team in an alley somewhere,
if you go to a small school and you make the tournament, who'd you play? Oh, Jackson State. Yeah. No, you go to a small school, the goal is to win the tournament, go play Syracuse or UConn or somebody, right. or an NBA player. I don't know what it is, but to me, I feel like you give those guys the full experience because they earn it. And these big schools, when you're putting 8 teams in from the Big Ten, well, then maybe 2 of them need to play each other to get into the playoff.
Right.
Really, if we're going to put 7 Big East teams in, well, why can't – now this year we didn't do it, but say there's 7 Big East teams, well, why can't St. John's play Georgetown to go get the 11th seed and say, okay, we're going to slot that spot for you, and we're going to slot the other spot for the ACC, and you two bottom dwellers go duke it out.
And that's a better game, guys. That's a better game. You know, in the conference game, it's a better game. Both fan bases are going to show up for that.
And then
Bryant versus Jackson State. Yeah, you're probably not going to get a lot of people.
It's funny because when you talk about the 11 seeds, you say, yeah, they're doing it for the TV. That's what they're doing the whole round for, is for the TV.
Right.
The 64 was a fine number. I don't think anybody cared.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to add these teams. We're going to do 68. Fine. But no one is tuning into those games when it's playing for the 16 seed. I'm sorry. Like,
No,
unless you put money on the game, why, or your kids playing, why the heck are you going to watch Bethune-Cookman play against, Grambling to see who goes to go play UConn? It doesn't. No one's doing it.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now and I actually bet it because it was the very first game was Mount St. Mary's versus Texas Southern.
Of course you did, Kat. You bet it.
That's what we're here for. To me, wouldn't it be more watchable if you were betting on, I don't know, Louisville, why Louisville couldn't deserve a shot to get in? They're going to put them on the next 4 list. Well, let Louisville play Syracuse. Who's hurt by that? Let's enjoy that show.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, guys. So it sounds like we're thinking Baylor makes it through. Baylor beats Arkansas. We're thinking Houston finishes off Oregon State. That one's in progress. We're thinking kind of Gonzaga USC. We think it'll be closer than people think, but I think most of us probably think Gonzaga makes it through. And then Michigan, UCLA. I don't think we really made picks on that one. I would say Michigan. I think Michigan makes it. You guys agree with that?
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to pick against Michigan right now after they just gave Florida State a beatdown, and Florida State's got some NBA guys on that team too, and they look like it. So that's a big physical team, and Michigan just wiped the floor with them. Right now, the momentum in the whole tournament is with Michigan. So I mean, that's my pick straight up.
All right, cool. So hopefully we'll get those right. We know Brother Ray may have already picked them right. We'll leave it at that, and then we'll talk about those on Thursday because I think those are Saturday, Sunday. The weekend coming up. All right, gentlemen, any final thoughts on NCAA, or shall we pivot to the NBA?
Yeah, I have one final thought. Go back to the old schedule, please. It's Monday night. I don't want to be doing this Monday night. This is Sunday basketball right here. Can we go back to the original days of the damn tournament? Stop getting cute, man. It's the biggest sporting event in the whole country for a month, and you're going to mess with the dates? Give me a break.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I was trying to remember. I'm trying to remember back, because tomorrow night is Tuesday night. So there's going to be a Tuesday night game that's a 10 p.m. tip-off. Elite 8.
Sunday. Always been Thursday through Sunday.
Okay, good. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. All right, so Coach TJ is on the record. Straighten out the first 4 and get back to the old schedule.
Please.
Cool. Yeah. All right, Jess. So let's pivot towards the NBA. So we had trade deadline go past. We had a couple of big buyout moves. You guys probably talked about the trade deadline last Thursday, I'd assume. I missed that. I was unable to attend that one. So unless you guys have anything you want to add, any sort of updated thoughts after seeing the teams coalesce a little bit over the past few days. I would definitely like to hit the buyouts. So Drummond and Aldridge are the big ones. So who wants to start on that one? I can see Brother Ray shaking his head.
I mean, come on. We've talked about this all year. Come on. The Lakers, the Nets. Come on. I don't know. I mean, really. I mean, just play the finals now. No, don't even go through the rest of the regular season. Forget the early rounds of the playoffs. LeBron versus Kevin Durant. Just do it. Just do it if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah. What do you think, Coach TJ?
First thing, before I give you my 2 cents on that. The Oklahoma Thunder, I'm going to read this, have announced that Al Horford will no longer be active.
Oh, no.
There is some justice in the NBA, because I'm going to tell you how there's no justice in the NBA in a second. But Al Horford will not be on the floor for the rest of the year, and it's a beautiful thing. Really, I hope he has a miserable retirement. NBA trade deadline was cool. There's a lot of activity, a lot of teams moving parts. And then the buyouts come. And Drummond to the Lakers, I think it just seals the deal because Drummond's an absolutely perfect fit for that team. He doesn't need the ball. If Utah's the best team in the West, Drummond and Gobert can just go beat each other up and cancel each other out. And that's huge for the Lakers because that's a hole that they were missing. Anthony Davis does not want to go play Rudy Gobert down there. He does not want to do it. He's turned into he used to be a 5, then he was a 4, now he's like a 3.5, right? If we're talking about what position he plays. He's like a 3.5. Drummond's a perfect fit right there. And then you look at Brooklyn, their first 10 players are like all-star caliber players. So Brooklyn is loaded. The Lakers are loaded. As much as it kind of sucks in a way, if that is the finals, that's going to be epic basketball. It's going to be classic basketball. But I'll tell you, one of the best follows on Twitter and Facebook is this guy. I don't know his name. It's Freezing Cold Takes. Freezing Cold Takes. You know how he used to be like the core guy.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant bitching and moaning when guys went to go play with LeBron in Miami has a lot of nerve.
Yep.
A lot of nerve because he's out here. He's recruiting more than Coach K right now. He went and jumped ship from Oklahoma to go do his thing, and then he went to Brooklyn, and now he just starts sucking guys from every other team. So Kevin Durant, I'm good, man. Like I'm good. Your legacy is always going to be this. This is what legacy. I don't care if he wins 5 rings. Oh yeah, he won 5 rings because he was a good recruiter and he brought guys to come play with him. And that's an actual fact. So yeah, Brooklyn in the Lakers, is it a foregone conclusion? My heart wants to tell me that it's not, but it's a 7-game series and it's New York and LA. I mean, all the stars are aligned for these two teams to play. And I feel like all these moves that other teams made around the deadline, whether it's Milwaukee getting Tucker or the Sixers getting George Hill, all that stuff just went kapoof out the window, and it doesn't freaking matter.
See, that's the part that pisses me off because some of those moves helped. Like it was like, okay, now you got to think about the Bucks a little differently. You got to think about the Sixers a little bit differently, and maybe they can make it through. And then these two things, it sucked. I don't know. For me, it sucked the joy out of it a little bit. I read them and I was like, come on, like why? But so one thing, just to clarify, is a buyout exactly what it sounds like? It's like I'm a GM. You have a contract with me. I don't want you around, so I'm going to pay. We're going to agree on a percentage of your contract that I'm going to pay, and then you're free. And then but then they have to clear waivers, right? So that means nobody submitted a claim for Drummond, and then he gets to negotiate with whoever he wants. Like that's what happened.
There isn't a waiver system in the NBA that I know of where
there's no waivers
players, or else someone would have picked up Drummond.
That's what I would. Okay, so there is no waivers.
No,
is that true?
No, not like it is in the NFL where somebody can just make a claim on a guy. No,
right.
And a lot of these buyouts have already come. These agreements are already in place. Like the NBA is not. It's not above board when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's just not above board. Like guy's not even bought out yet, and they're already like decorating his locker in the city 2,000 miles away. I mean, it was just a done deal before it even happened. This nonsense probably happens in the summer in the NBA where Jordan's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to ask for a buyout if our team's not good, and I'm going to come play with you guys. Like I truly believe that's the way the league works. And what you get now is a roster that consists of Aldridge. Jeff Green is like their 10th best player. He would start on every team. Blake Griffin, James Harden, Joe Harris, who's a great shooter, Kyrie, Jordan. I mean, come on. Landry Shamet, who I think has a bright future ahead of him, is not even going to sniff the floor right now. Here's a young kid that can shoot it. He was playing Redick's minutes in Philadelphia. I loved what he was doing. His career is in danger right now because of what the Nets did to him. And he's like the 12th man right now on a really good team. The only thing I'll say, Brother Ray, maybe we get lucky and they can't figure it out. Maybe they can't figure out the rotation. Maybe they can't figure out who gets the ball where. But I don't have a lot of confidence in that.
I don't see that happening. And I think the NBA really needs to take a look now and say, are we happy with this? Because the inmates are running the asylum. It's over. Like there is no parity left if teams are going to be allowed to do this and just sign people off the street. It's a done deal, handshake agreement. I mean, it's I don't know. It's not the same game that we grew up loving. That's all I'm going to say.
And listen, I'm also not on the side where the owners own a guy's for his like lifetime career. Like sure. I'm never going to be a fan of that. I'm a capitalist. Yeah. Like free market is my thing.
Yeah.
But when is the goal of the league to have like 3 teams be in the final like on a rotating basis? Like is that the goal? Like because there's really nothing you can do to stop these guys. My bigger problem is with James Harden out of all of these guys. You're a buyout, you're a vet. James Harden destroyed a franchise. He signed a contract, they built around him, and then he threw a tantrum until they sent him where he wanted to go. And that is something that's what started this year's whole thing. It all started with James Harden saying, I'm not going to play here. And to me, that's a problem for the NBA. Because if you're going to allow guys to sign contracts and then just bail on them, How do you solve that?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a 10-year-old Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and I haven't even had my Andre Drummond jersey for 1 year. Now now that thing's going to be thrown in the garbage. Those things aren't cheap. Like what? How does that affect the fan base? Because now these guys, if you're a Cleveland fan or a Utah fan or a Milwaukee fan, you're a small market team. You may not have that star for more than one season.
Forever. You might not have one forever. And so we're adults. Like I'm a fan of the Sixers. I don't lose sleep over the Sixers. But when I was little, I felt like I had a relationship with Charles Barkley. Like I loved him. And when he went to Phoenix, that was like it was like an emotional turning point. If you're a kid now, you cannot grow attached to any single player in any market. These guys come and go so quick. I grew up with a lot of Celtics fans. Those people, they talk about Larry Bird like he was like at their house.
Yeah.
and they're always going to love the Celtics because that was what they grew up with. And now, if you got a guy for 3 years, it feels like he's been on your team forever.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah, so one of the last times we spoke about this, like I said, the way I look at it is like they're not like LeBron James is not a Laker. He's a player who happens to be playing for the Lakers right now. Like it was like Kobe was a Laker, Larry Bird was a Celtic, Kevin McHale was a Celtic, Barkley's a 76er, Dr. J was a 76er. Guys now, like they're not like what is James Harden? Was he a Rocket? Is he a net? Like in 3 years they're going to break up Brooklyn. In 3 years they're going to be at each other's throats. If it even goes for 3 years, that whole thing's going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm. And it all started when they started talking about their own brand, and I'm my own brand. So now you're rooting. If you're a fan of James Harden, you're just following him around the league. Like, you don't give a shit where he plays. And I guess in a sense, I'm like that with LeBron. I like LeBron. I want LeBron to win championships. Wherever he is, okay, that's I guess I hope the Lakers win it as opposed to Utah. I can tell you that right now. But if you're a little kid, you can't grow attachment to these players in your city. And I think a lot of fans are pretty much fans of players now.
I have a problem with LeBron too. I respect him as a player, but he went to LA because he wants to be a content producer.
Yeah.
That's the reason why. When Philly was vying for him and other teams, he chose LA not because of basketball and really not so much because of championships. He chose it because he wanted to be positioned on the left coast for his content deals.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. Yeah. Like I've heard Kyrie call himself, I'm not a basketball player, I'm an artist. Get the fuck out of here. You're a basketball player. Just stop. Just please.
You blow out that ACL, you see what kind of artist you are. Because maybe the artist formerly known as the point guard from the Nets is what you'll be. But it's really hard to build in this league. And here's what's frustrating. It's hard to build. And when you got a cheat code, and that cheat code is I got guys that want to just come here, it's really hard because Milwaukee built a program in Milwaukee, and the Sixers built a program, and Utah built a program. And then you just go through 1 week and all that work of developing and trading and being smart with your draft and making a move to sign the veteran guy. It's all out the window because I get freaking all-star teams right now. And, shame on anyone who's rooting for them. I hope they play in the finals. It'll be a great finals, but I'm not going to root for them to get there. Like, I would be so happy to watch either one of those teams lose. Like, I'd rather see Portland beat the Lakers and be like, at least Portland, they got their two guards and they tried to do it the right way. And instead of this, recruit mode where we're going to wait this 30-something games in the season, it's like a freaking AAU tournament where you pick up the kid. You don't care if he's played with you all spring long, but we're going to pick him up for the Nationals. And that's pretty much exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Pretty much exactly. Yeah. Kind of redundant, but you get it.
Like, brother, you brought it up. I agree fundamentally with this. Like the legacy thing. Like Durant's legacy forever going to be tarnished because of the people he's played with. Like how do you not see that? Like how does he not? Even LeBron to some extent, but he did have a couple. He had a couple ones where it was really 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 tough. He didn't have a massive supporting cast, so you got to give him credit. But Durant has never made a hard choice. It's where can I go where I'm going to be surrounded by the best players and who can I recruit? Like I don't get that. Like how do you the psyche part of it really surprises me. I don't know. It just.
And you wonder, like a team like Oklahoma City, when they had those three guys, how did they ever lose a game? Like, I mean, if you look at it just from a talent perspective, how did they lose a game? And now that franchise is completely in tatters. In tatters.
I mean, I do want to tip the cap to OKC because they benched Horford for the season. But when you get Kevin Durant, I feel like Kevin Durant could have been a top 5 player. I really do. Like, overall, he's built to score. He's amazing talent. Amazing talent.
Yeah.
But this is your legacy now, bro. There's nothing you can do now. One thing about LeBron, he did that thing with Miami. He dragged Cleveland to the finals with like garbage with him. With Matt Dellavedova playing like big crucial minutes. So I think LeBron's making it to the finals if you put him on almost any roster in the NBA. Almost anyone. He was that good in his prime, and I think he will still be that good now. Whereas someone like Durant, you went and played with Steph in their peak. Like, you go join that team, and then you come here, you got Harden. I'm not convinced you're even the best player on your own team. And I think historically, he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure, and everyone's going to talk about how great and smooth he was and all that there. But he kept himself out of the inner circle of the Hall of Fame with this shit. Like, he just kept.
Yeah, I agree. Like the nutty thing is his offensive game is so perfect for like his size and the things he can do. He could do just about anything, shoot from anywhere. Like he could like score. I don't want to say he wasn't like a muscle player, but he could post you up. He could hit jumpers. He could run the floor, and like instead he's going to go down as a guy who brought players together instead of winning one by himself. And like when my daughter was playing basketball, she always loved Steph Curry. No, like the game you want to emulate is Durant. Like Durant can do anything. He's just so.
Your daughter can dunk from anywhere within 8 feet. Your daughter can dunk from where Durant can dunk from. Then But it is a shame. In this playoffs, I mean, we might have a great finals, but my goodness.
Yeah, it just feels like all those moves were so calculated up to the trade deadline, and then like you said, the fix was basically in. Like Aldridge probably already knew he was going to Brooklyn. Drummond knew he was going to LA, and that's why everyone was like, "Wow, Lakers didn't make a move. What are they going to do?" Well, no, we have Drummond in our back pocket, so you can do anything you want. We're still going to get him, but it almost seems now like I was just checking. We're at like the 46 or so game mark. What's the season? 73. Something like that.
I think they shortened it to 72 this year.
72. Yeah. So it's almost like we're gonna sleepwalk through the next 27 and then see who makes the playoffs just to get obliterated by those teams.
That's why the Lakers are nursing injuries and whatnot. They don't care what seed they're in. They drop down to the 4 seed. They don't really care. And the NBA has always been going in this direction where only the playoffs matter, which I'm not a huge fan of that either. But when you're going to load up before the playoffs, and these guys, you know what they're talking about? Hey, we just need like 6 games.
Yeah.
We just need 6 games as a unit. We'll figure out that we'll iron up the kinks, and then we're going to go steamroll Phoenix, who has done everything by the book, who's having a great year. And then the Lakers are going to get them in the second round as a road team, and they're going to go beat them 4-1.
That's awful. Yeah. All right. So, like, what are your thoughts on a couple of a couple of teams that are doing it by the book, and where you kind of see them, ending up this this year? So you brought up the Suns. Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Well, they make the playoffs. They maybe win a series depending on their first round matchup, and then they just bow out to someone like the Clippers or the Lakers. Like they just don't have the horses to do it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Phoenix. I mean, right now they're sitting in the 2 seed in the West, which is impressive. But you're talking about the Clippers, the Jazz, and the Lakers, and to me, they're the least talented of those 4 teams. They're the least talented. Hopefully, the NBA starts letting some fans, like a lot of fans, into these playoff games in a couple of months as the vaccine gets spread out more. Maybe we can lose it because maybe Phoenix can gain some kind of advantage from getting some real home games. Like that would be good. But I don't see a way they can beat any of those 3 teams 4 times. Right? And they've had a great season. It's a great story because I don't think anybody saw this coming. But I mean, when Chris Paul's in the Hall of Fame, people are going to wonder why. And it's because these kind of teams are the ones he's on, where he can bring them to a level where they weren't going to get to. And unfortunately, they're not going to have the horses to be a finalist. No way.
Yeah, and I think experience really plays a part here. I mean, the Lakers, they've been there. LeBron's been there a million times. You can't put a value on that experience. And a team like the Suns, I mean, they're generally young. young base, young talent. It's going to take a while. I mean, now you're in a series that matters. It's different than the regular season. It's completely different. The teams play it differently. The players play it differently. And I think that's where you see it catch up with them, and that's where they'll get overwhelmed.
All right. And then the next one I wanted to ask you guys about was the Nuggets, because obviously they made a trade. They got Gordon at the deadline, and everything I've heard about that was he's like a perfect complement to Josic. You think that makes them a contender, or is it still?
I feel like Denver somehow was better last year. Maybe it's just my perception of them. They get the Sixers coming up in a couple of nights, so I'll definitely be watching that. I'm not sold on their style. I don't think they're tough, and I don't think Gordon, for as physical as he plays and as big as I don't think he's tough either. They're in a bad spot, whereas they're going to be in that seed that's going to play the Lakers or Clippers in the first round, because they're going to be the 5th or 6th seed, and the Lakers and Clippers are going to be the 3 and 4 seed. So you tell me how Denver gets out of the first round. I don't know how they do it. And here's my thing: Denver and Phoenix, both Denver and Phoenix.
And Jokic has been doing too much for that team. Last year, the heat wasn't on him as much. I mean, he was able to kind of get other people involved. His assist numbers were better last year. This year, I mean, he's got to be a triple-double every single night for them just to win games. You can't survive on that eventually. He's not that type of player that's going to be a LeBron and just dominate, a 7-game series.
And, the other thing is in the playoffs. Kev just mentioned it. It's a different game of basketball in the playoffs. Like, there's a reason why young teams don't win in the NBA playoffs. It's because it's hard to do, and you need grown men to do it. And when you get to a playoff series, and they can just – it's one thing to see Jokic twice a year. It's another thing to see him 7 times in a week. And a lot of that stuff that they do, I feel like, is easier to scout. Like, if you're just focused on Jokic and the way he's getting a triple-double, you can either take him scoring and say you're not getting 25, you're only getting 17, or you can say you can get 25, but you're not going to have 9 assists while you do it.
Right.
And when that effort level comes up in the playoffs, I feel like there's an element of his game that you can take. And then if you're Denver, you're relying on Murray to be hot. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, players like LeBron are just unstoppable. Like, you can scout LeBron all you want. You can watch film. You can do whatever you want. Double. It's not going to matter. He's going to either shoot over you, you're going to go through you, or go around you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Jokic's not that kind of player. No,
I don't think so either.
Yeah, and you guys both said it, the different quality of basketball in the playoffs. Like, I had a system where I was betting quarter over unders, which was crazy, but I was like insanely good at it. And like, I had numbers and I had models, and I would bet literally, okay, Golden State, Utah is going to be over the second quarter number. Awesome. Playoffs started. I got wiped out the first round because the game is entirely different. All those numbers mean nothing. You have to start over when you're evaluating playoff basketball. It was an expensive lesson. I stopped quickly enough. I let the numbers kind of recede. Started doing it again. But it was everything changes. The games, the scoring is different. The like you said, like the scouting, all that stuff. So I would definitely suggest anyone that's got a model out there, anyone that's betting basketball based on stats, you better time out when the playoffs start and rethink everything you do.
For me, from a betting standpoint, I feel more comfortable betting in the playoffs because I feel like I can analyze guys. I feel like I can analyze players and teams when they're playing at their peak. I have a hard time sometimes hitting on games during the week where you don't know what team's going to show up in town and just not try, or guys are just going to, we're going to try and get some touches for Tobias Harris tonight. And you could watch the Sixers game and you think Tobias Harris is going to do what he always does. And they decide they're going to pump the first 6 shots to him. And it's like, wait a minute, I wasn't preparing on this brand. And in playoffs, you're going to get their best brand of basketball almost all the time. And then it just comes down to execution. So from a betting standpoint, I feel like my batting average goes up when everyone's healthy and everyone's playing for the game.
Yeah, the way I look at it is you can have a stats-based system, analytics during the regular season, but to bet playoff basketball, you actually have to know basketball. Like, so you have an advantage because you know basketball, and whereas like you're never going to get that Tuesday night where Tobias Harris is getting extra touches or somebody else is tired and whatever. You don't have to worry about that. If you know basketball and you know how the teams match up, you have an advantage. Whereas
here it's like, yeah, Norval Pell's going to play some minutes tonight because we haven't played him. And you're watching the game, and it's like, why is this guy getting like 16 minutes? And because it was his turn to get a night, so Embiid could rest his feet or whatever.
And Jimmy Butler has a hangnail, or he's got the sniffles. And
speaking of teams at the deadline, Miami did such a good job. We were talking last week about how Miami made these moves, and no one wants to play them in the first round. And you're thinking you got Brooklyn, you got Miami, you got Philadelphia and Milwaukee, and it's going to be a great Final Four. And now you get to feel like Brooklyn's going to beat them in 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the story.
Yeah. And Riley, genius. We were talking about Pat Riley and how, in my opinion, he would be a Hall of Famer just based on his GM work.
Kevin Durant, apparently.
I mean, that trade last week was amazing.
I completely agree. And obviously when he was coach of the Lakers, I'm a Celtics fan, so I didn't like him because he coached the Lakers. But I've read a couple of his books, and he's a really smart guy. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to motivate people. He knows the game inside and out, and he's a phenomenal executive, which is entirely different than any of those other things, which is just phenomenal. I can't believe I can't believe it, but the fact that he's been in Miami for so long is just freaking awesome. Like he's like the almost like Darth Vader, like the Emperor behind the scenes, keeping that thing going. It's unbelievable.
LA, New York, Miami. Like, good for you. Like Pat Riley's big league. He's big league, man. He's big leagues.
I don't even know how old is he. He's got to be really old at this point, right? I mean,
you got to think he's got to be in his 70s, no?
Yeah, that's what I would guess. But but that I wouldn't want to play them in the first round. But you're right. Brooklyn's just gonna. When they hit
76, gentlemen, 76.
Wow.
And he's great, though. Yeah. He does. Yeah. He's 76, and we got a president that can't make a sentence.
Yeah.
Pat Riley for president. If our president was at shop at Pat Riley, we'd be all set.
Yeah. TJ, we didn't talk about it, and I'm only saying it because it's humorous. If this happened to anybody else, I would laugh my ass off too. The falling up the stairs thing and the memes that went with that. Was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
My fantasy baseball team has been renamed to Falling Up 3 Steps.
Yeah.
The baseball team for this season. The one with Steph Curry crossing him over on the stairs.
Yep.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see the Mario Kart one with the bananas?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen that one. That's awesome.
Oh my goodness. I gotta find it and send it to you guys.
Yeah.
It starts off with the Mario Kart with the vroom, vroom. And then Mario goes up the stairs and he drops a banana peel, and the timing. Whoever edits these things,
that's
stuff. They are hysterical.
Some people need jobs, man.
Exactly.
Need jobs.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is their job. Is there money to be had in that world of creating memes that go viral? Because
I don't know.
Some of these are so
a lot of work.
They really are.
No. Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. Like I said, I don't care who it was. Like if that were Trump, I would laugh my ass off too. Same way, because it's just so ridiculous.
Do you remember Happy Gilmore, where he first learns about driving a golf ball, and he's on his grandmother's lawn and he hits the golf ball and it hits the guy's window like 300 yards away?
Oh yeah.
So Happy Gilmore, they got the Happy Gilmore, and he hits the golf ball and it time goes Biden. Oh my gosh.
All right. So I brought that up. I apologize for the diversion, but I was crying when I first saw it. I was crying. I was like, I just kept watching it on loop. I said it to my sister, my family. I was just like, you have to watch this, and I'm like, this is real. They're all But anyway, all right, gentlemen. So what other teams we want to hit, or any other topics you guys want to bring up? So I did want to ask about a couple of other teams. Two of our favorites, the Jazz and the Bucks. Like the Bucks made a move at the deadline. They got Beverly, which is nice. I don't think the Jazz really did anything at the deadline. What do you do they think they can make it out of the West? Are they that confident with what they have?
Wait a minute, breaking news: the Bucks are getting the Celtics with Teague, and the Bucks are picking him up.
What? Oh,
Jeff Teague.
Oh, that's interesting.
The Bucks are picking up Jeff Teague?
Yeah.
Wow.
They picked up Tucker and they picked up Teague. And then they pick up somebody else too. I think that's it.
I think those they didn't do anything at the deadline. Tucker was like a week before, but I don't remember anything after that. But like
it just got today. I mean, They build it. It's a hell of a program in Milwaukee. It is, and they got holiday. I mean, they make moves. The problem is, how do you beat 4 All-Stars with 1?
Yeah,
and that's the problem. And then I can't see. Giannis is cool and all, but by the way, I get a chance to watch Milwaukee from like start. He's the point guard, you know.
Oh,
He is the absolute point guard. Like the ball, somebody gets a rebound that's not him, he comes to the ball. So anybody who's ranking point guards, like he is one of them now. Is another alpha player going to go there? Like really, is any star going to go there? And that's the problem. I think they're going to keep having that problem. I think they're a perennial 2-3 seed. I don't think he's not going to leave. He just signed a big deal, but the only thing you're going to be able to do is get role players to go up there. I don't think you can get a star like Dame Lillard not going to go to Milwaukee. Like some
just
of these guys,
just because it's the city of Milwaukee. Like that's
it's Wisconsin.
I know. Like I've been there. I worked there for a little while, but I'm just saying, like it's that big of a like the brand is that important. Like if you were a great player and your talents meshed with Giannis, you wouldn't want to go there because you're going to be in Milwaukee. I'm not asking you personally, but that's the thought process now.
Me, 40-year-old grown man, maybe 23-year-old millionaire me, absolutely not. 23-year-old millionaire me. We're starting with the climate. We're going to start with the climate, and we're going to start with the afterlife and the and the beaches and the girls on the beaches. I'm going to go to Wisconsin. In the winter,
and he's not the type of player, guys, that is good. He's not the Pied Piper. Like he's very quiet.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the same ego that these other players have. Right?
I don't think he wants to, Ray. I don't think he wants to be friends with these guys.
No, he doesn't. He said he doesn't. Yeah.
And I love it. I'd like to see some other badass go with him. Don't get me wrong. Like maybe some Jimmy Butler type to be like, I hate everybody. Do you hate everybody? Yeah, I hate everybody. He'll beat everybody. I would love it.
Oh, that'd be phenomenal. Yeah. So we're all from Rhode Island, and we think Rhode Island is cold. When I was in Milwaukee, it was right around Christmas. I've never felt anything colder than that. Milwaukee's further north than Chicago, and I remember walking out of the hotel to walk to the office. By the time we got there, my eyes were tearing. It was so cold. And like I'm wearing a jacket, obviously, but you know you're a guy, right? I'm not wearing thermal underwear. I got from the end of the jacket to the top of my shoes, I was completely numb. It was like ice, like being stuck with ice needles. And I walk in there, and I'm like it looked. I felt like I just walked out of it. And everyone was just like, do like normal day in Milwaukee. So yeah, I can see what you're saying.
I can go play in Miami where it's 68 degrees and people are panicking because it's too cold.
Yeah,
and a great tax rate.
And you have no state tax. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, I guess I can see it, but I would hope that there's got to be some people have to get turned off by this. And like you said, like maybe it's Jimmy Butler, maybe it's somebody else that's just like.
Well, the other thing is there's money, right? So there's someone they can overpay for somebody, and somebody can be greedy. You know, I mean, they can offer a supermax deal to a guy that maybe doesn't qualify, maybe shouldn't be getting a supermax deal. Like, can't you see Jaylen Brown going there to be like the second highest paid player in the NBA? Oh, yeah. You know, even though Boston just signed him, but a guy like him that's maybe B+ level talent or an A- going to get A+ money. I mean, people do a lot of things for money. I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, you are obviously getting paid to go to Wisconsin, so you know, so some other players going to want. Maybe somebody else wants to go get paid there, but the point is, there's always going to be gravity to these 3 or 4 city teams, and if Chicago ever gets good, as cold as it is in Chicago, like there's legacy there too, like the legacy teams. And I feel like Boston dropped out of that, and I feel like that's a problem that New England fans are coming to realize right now, where all these shiny toys are not coming to the Northeast anymore. They're just not.
No, it's crazy. That one's hard. That was very hard to take. But when you look at it, you know, I remember with the '86 championship team. It's probably one of the best basketball teams ever, and I was the right age to appreciate it because all I did was I watched every single game, listened with the audio down, and Johnny Most doing listening to the Johnny Most audio in the game on like channel 64. Watched all of them. I even used to keep score. Like I kept score myself. The whole like that, and I'm like, this is gonna last forever. Well, it didn't. That was the last one until the Garnett one. But it's 2021 now, and there's only been one since 1986. Like, how could you still be a legacy destination? Like nobody, like their players weren't even alive when they won the '86 one.
Some of the birthdays on some of these kids, they don't know about 1986.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was
just don't.
And I even remember like that team won 67 games, or 67-15, and they beat the Rockets. That was the Olajuwon Sampson Twin Tower Rockets, and everyone was disappointed because they didn't get to play the Lakers because because Houston hit Ralph Sampson hit that shot at the buzzer to knock the Lakers out, and like Boston fans were disappointed because they wanted to slam the Lakers because the Lakers beat them, I think, the previous year. And none of that matters anymore. And this is, I'm 47. I'm not going. It doesn't matter where I want to go play. Then I'm not going to get a Supermax in Boston.
And this is why Danny has to stop thinking like he is a destination. Yeah. Like the way to build it is the way they built it in Milwaukee and the way they built it in Utah. It's not to sit around, hold my picks, and then some big mark, because you can have the picks and trade, but these guys won't come to you and they'll tell you right out, we're not coming here. Paul George, I'm not going. Kawhi's not good. I don't want to go there. I'm not trying to go there. And he doesn't understand that. And you got to sign these kind of veteran moves, that these veteran players and pieces that some of these other teams, if you want to get to the next tier. But unfortunately, none of it matters anymore because we have 2 effing all-star teams that are going to play for the finals.
Power has shifted, guys. Power has shifted. The teams, the coaches, the GMs, they do not have the power anymore. You can hang on to all those lottery picks, but if LeBron doesn't want to play there or Durant doesn't want to play there, you're not going to win a championship as long as those T-Rexes are still walking around the league eating everybody else. That's the bottom line.
And not only eating everybody else, the guys they don't want to eat, they just join up and they become like the Celtics could offer their entire organization to Los Angeles for Anthony Davis, and the Lakers could be like, this is unbelievable, and Anthony Davis will say, I'm not going.
I'm good.
I'm in the NBA right now.
No thanks.
No thanks.
Yeah, crazy. All right, gentlemen. Sorry, go ahead.
Running out of time. I'm sorry, I can't. This topic is it's going to lead to a strike.
Oh yeah,
that's what it's going to lead to. It's going to lead to another NBA strike or another NBA lockout because these owners, they're in business. Like this is bullshit to them. This is collusion on any other business in the world. This is teams creating these. They're colluding. Is what they're doing.
Yeah.
So if these NBA players are a brand and they're their own business and I'm my own brand, well, then you're colluding with other brands, and these owners aren't going to take it but for so long.
Yeah, you're 100% right about that. And you could say anything. Actually, NBA is different than the NFL. Like the NFL, there's a lockout. The middle tier, lower tier players fold very quickly because they have to. The NBA, the rosters are so small, and the money's so big. The players could probably hold out a little longer, but in the end, billionaires beat millionaires. Unless you're LeBron, when you're pretty much a billionaire also. But I know something's got to give though, because it's the only way it will is when it does start costing real money. Mm-hmm. When no one watches or no one goes because your team is in Brooklyn or LA right now. Like, what good is me going to a Celtics game? Who cares?
Right.
And I like anyway. Something's got to give, and I think like we said, it's only going to be when money is involved. That's the only thing that's going to move these people. But
what was your line, Kev? Billionaires beat millionaires.
Yeah, exactly.
They do.
All right, gentlemen. So we got a couple minutes left. I got a couple of picks on some games tonight. Obviously, the early games are in progress. I'm not even looking at the clock, but the late games, Clippers, Milwaukee, definitely gonna be one to watch. It's but Clippers -2.5. I think I like that one because Milwaukee and LA. So I would I'd put a little money on the Clippers. You guys have a comment on that?
Oh, it's a good game. With 2 teams that are probably feeling a little bit deflated right now.
Yeah.
Based on the latest news, it's hard not to be deflated. I mean, and you can have that us against them attitude. It can get you through. But tonight's going to be a good game. I like the Clippers in that one.
Yep. And then the other one I liked was it's Chicago at Golden State. It's Chicago -1. I'm thinking Warriors money line. I think they can pull this one off. So I was going to put sprinkle a little bit there, and then the last one. Actually, no. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that one.
Well, I just don't think Steph's playing tonight, so I'd be a little concerned about taking the Warriors on the money line because I don't think you're going to have Steph. And with that said, I mean Chicago, but just look into that and make sure you're comfortable with who's going to be out there.
Yeah, I knew Steph wasn't in. I'm comfortable. I'm going with the fact that Chicago. That's why I was going with that one. And then I don't like this game. I'm not gonna bet this one at all. But it's just interesting that it's Cavs, Jazz. The Jazz are 16-point favorites, which is
huge. That's not a huge number in an NBA game.
Yeah, you never see that. So I'm not gonna touch it. I just thought it was interesting. I don't know if If anyone wants, you can tease it to +20, but I still wouldn't. All right.
Yeah, I mean that's so tough. I don't see a reason to bet a game with a 16-point spread, and that's pretty much why it's 16.
Yeah,
like no one knows. But
I'm not touching that.
I mean,
no way. I just thought
who's playing for that team anymore? Like, I mean, are they going to like take somebody off the street or?
Yeah,
I mean, Cleveland's got the guards. They're trying to build they got guards. But my goodness.
Yeah. So,
anyway, Osman. I mean, I don't know. It's awful.
It's awful. The updated power rankings, I bet you. Hold on, I'm on ESPN's updated power rankings right now, and Cleveland's going to be like.
I mean, between them and Orlando, I mean, I could only guess like what that starting five is going to be the rest of the year.
Let's see.
Put it this way: Cleveland only scored 98 points against Sacramento, who plays like zero defense. Sacramento has no interest in defending. Cleveland scored 98. I'll tell you what, I changed my mind. Go put $1,000 on Utah to cover 16.
Yeah, may not be enough. May not be enough.
I'll have to check. You know what? Like games like that, what I love is just watching it in game, because if somehow Cleveland could be up like 16-8, and that 16 goes down to like 11 or 9, then I'd go on it. But that's probably not going to happen. But that's like the only way I would touch something like that. If it just something.
They may not even get off the plane, Genius.
Yeah. Nice. All right, gentlemen. Any final thoughts? We are at the hour mark. Anything you want to leave us with, Brother Ray?
You know what? I'm just happy that we're playing basketball right now. I'm really happy about that we've so far gotten through a season in the NBA, even though it wasn't perfect. It wasn't what we wanted. I know we complain about the NBA, but thank God we have games. Same thing with the NCAA. We're talking about basketball, guys, and I'm really happy about that.
TJ, you want to leave us with anything?
Yeah, I mean, the thing to watch right now, the thing I'm most exciting to see when all these players, this is a cool time. It's like a rebirth of the league after this. As much as I bitch about these moves, I can't wait to see how these teams look together. And Brother Ray, you're right, man. We're watching the NCAA tournament. As much as I can complain about mass and distancing and fans and all the kind of stuff, at least we're watching some real basketball that matters. And the kids are playing super hard. So I hope we get a good couple nights of basketball.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to echo what you guys said, because it is funny. We pretty much complain about basketball for an hour, twice a week. It's literally like that's the show. We complain about basketball, but you are right. At least we have it, and I think we all enjoy watching. And I think it's coming from the part that we're like basketball purists, most of all of us. And we want to see it a certain way. We want to see the organization run a certain way. We want
the things you love, right? The Yankees, your wife, your kids. I mean, the things you love the most. Where you can. We don't have a podcast to talk about how great things are.
Yeah,
it's just great that we get a chance to see Jimmy Butler take 2 games off a week. I mean, that's great.
Here we go. Stop. With that, I'm ending it. All right, guys. Thank you very much for giving us another hour of your time on a Monday night, Coach TJ. It is Monday night, not Thursday. Monday night. So go watch.
You are fired.
Go watch that Elite 8 game. I think it's tipping off in a half hour or so. The rest of this week, we have, number one, we got to check in on King Michael. I have a feeling he passed out in probably around 22 or 23. So we're going to probably have to revive him, see what the team looks like. Number one. Number two, we have 2 shows on Thursday night. We got legit fantasy football and legit fantasy basketball. So we'll talk about the Final Four on Thursday night, kind of getting us ready for the weekend. And we'll check in on the free agency and the draft and all the trades happening in the NFL. So with that, I will wrap it up. Thank you very much for your time, and great show.